Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the grueling, absolutely fascinating, and honestly, mostly hidden reality of the creator economy. We see the final products on our feeds every single day, right? The millions of views, the massive charity streams, the polished influencers. But we rarely get to see the actual math, the emotional toll, and the complex machinery operating right behind the screen. What happens when a stolen drive-through joke launches a multi-million-dollar media empire? Well, we are diving into a deeply personal, incredibly detailed account that charts a creator's unbelievable rise from complete anonymity to becoming a literal corporate behemoth. We're going to examine exactly how the system works, who truly holds the power, and ultimately, the intense personal cost of that success. Act 1. The Stolen Voice. So our story begins not in some multi-million-dollar LA studio, but at a fast food drive-thru in Gary, Indiana. Our protagonist is 22, has no degree, and is making just $12.50 an hour. To keep his sanity during these incredibly mind-numbing shifts, he starts doing character voices through a greasy headset that he doesn't even own. Which brings us to this one fateful interaction. A customer in a Nissan Altima, who, by the way, will become a massive part of this story later under the nickname Ketchup Bun, orders a plain hamburger with nothing but ketchup. Our worker slips into the spot-on Gordon Ramsay impression to mock the order. The customer loves it. But someone else at the pickup window, a guy named Marcus, happens to be recording, and he captures the whole thing. Now, Marcus, who kind of fancies himself a talent discoverer on TikTok, takes that video, slaps his own watermark on it, and posts it. It absolutely explodes. 2.4 million views. But here's the kicker. The voice belongs to the drive-thru worker, but all the credit, the engagement, the audience, that goes straight to Marcus. Our protagonist doesn't even ask for money. He just sends Marcus a direct message asking for a simple tag, just to get some credit for his own voice. Instead of doing the right thing, Marcus screenshots the message and posts it with a brutal caption, completely mocking the fast food worker for thinking he deserved credit for making $12 an hour. But this casual cruelty backfires. It lights a fire under our protagonist. He goes out, buys a cheap $15 mic, downloads streaming software at 2 a.m., and just goes live. His thought process is basically, if I can get 2 million views by accident, what happens when I actually try? He hits the affiliate tier on Twitch, which is the first step to actually making money on the platform. And his very first subscriber? It's actually Ketchup Bun, the woman from the drive-thru who spent 4 weeks tracking down the voice from that viral video. But let's look at the brutal math behind this early hustle. When you factor in stream time, clip editing, social media management, the massive emotional labor of performing enthusiasm for 5 hours straight, and then you factor in that the platform takes a 50% cut of subscriptions, his real hourly rate drops to just $3.50. He's literally making less than he did at a warehouse job. But he stays anyway. Act 2. The Algorithm Trap. As the channel grows to full-time status, everything changes. The creator transforms from a struggling, raw talent into a highly optimized product. The source breaks down this invisible, ruthless science he's up against. Like, Tuesday at 4 p.m. is dead, but Thursday at 8 p.m. is prime. And incredibly, leaving for a simple 4-minute bathroom break actively punishes your live viewership by 12%. Taking your first 1-week vacation in 11 months, it drops viewership by 30%. If you've ever wondered why your favorite creators constantly seem burned out, well, this is why. The algorithm doesn't understand rest. It treats absence like a stock exchange treats bad earnings. This relentless pacing claims a massive personal toll. Streaming isn't what he does after work anymore. It is the work, and it literally never clocks out. It actually costs him his relationship. His girlfriend leaves him delivering this devastating line about not being able to compete with 8,000 people who think they know him better than she does. She realizes that the chat knows his sleep schedule, his allergies, and his food preferences better than her. The line between his true identity and his on-screen persona has completely blurred. Now, while the personal costs are devastating, the financial milestones are just staggering. Like, he hosts a charity marathon, streaming for 12 hours straight, and raises $1.2 million for after-school programs in a single broadcast. It's an incredible achievement for sure, but what's wild to uncover here is the hidden reality. The performance of caring, more than any human can physically sustain for 12 consecutive hours, is entirely exhausting. Despite his massive success, Marcus, the guy who originally stole his voice, reappears as a talent manager. Marcus starts signing our creator's closest streaming friends to his organization with these massive $200,000 paychecks. Our protagonist realizes a hard truth, one that applies to almost any industry. Streaming doesn't reward talent, it rewards infrastructure. Being the best talent in the room doesn't really matter if someone else owns the room. True power lies in owning the contracts. Act 3, becoming the machine. So to fight back against this corporate exploitation, our creator makes a massive pivot. He stops being the talent and starts being the building that the talent works in. He takes his own money and founds a new company called Headset, using his original drive-through mic as the logo. The source directly contrasts the two approaches here. Unlike Marcus, who locks naive kids into 5-year traps with no exit clauses and exploitative revenue splits, Headset offers short 18-month terms, transparent revenue, and exit clauses written in plain English. His entire business model is basically just, don't be Marcus. However, as Headset scales up, he faces some pretty brutal business realities. When one of his creators is struggling with her mental health and wants out of her contract, he lets her go, but he has to personally swallow massive buyout costs to do it. His business partner warns him, you can't run an org on guilt. It really highlights that intense friction between maintaining your morals and actually running a profitable organization in a cutthroat industry. But, against all odds, his ethical bet actually pays off financially. Headset grows massively, culminating in our protagonist negotiating a $45 million platform deal for his creators. He completely flips the industry standard on its head, negotiating a revenue split heavily in favor of the creators, completely shifting the industry's balance of power. Meanwhile, Marcus's exploitative empire hits a contract scandal and absolutely crumbles under the pressure. The sponsors pull out, the streamers leave. The collapse is so total that Marcus is forced to literally call the creator he once stole from, begging for a job. He calls him the talent, while trying to claim he himself was always the business. Our protagonist doesn't even open the resume. Yet, this victory feels incredibly hollow. During a visit to one of his own content houses, he finds a 19-year-old creator who hasn't left the house in 3 weeks. When told to just take a walk, the kid says, I can't take a walk. My numbers drop on off days. Our protagonist hears his own algorithmic fears from years ago coming straight out of a teenager's mouth. It's a sobering realization. Despite his ethical contracts, he had built the exact same machine he originally tried to escape. Act 4, reclaiming the headset. So our creator is now worth $48 million on paper. He's the CEO of a media empire, but he hasn't actually streamed in 5 months. He's totally lost touch with the craft. So he announces one final massive return broadcast. The response is unprecedented. A staggering 380,000 concurrent viewers tune in. And he doesn't use a high-end studio setup. He sits in front of the original $15 microphone from his first night, and he plugs in that very first greasy drive-through headset. He goes back to doing the fast food roast segment for the audience just like he did years ago. And then the ultimate full circle moment happens. Ketchup Bun, his very first supporter, the woman from the Nissan Altima who tipped him his first $2, appears in the chat. She types her classic order. Hamburger, no beef, no cheese, just ketchup on a bun, bringing this chaotic 13-year journey full circle in front of all those people. And shockingly, even Marcus appears in the chat. 13 years late, he types, original clip should have your name on it. It's not necessarily an apology, but it is a receipt. A public acknowledgement delivered to nearly 400,000 witnesses, finally giving the credit that started this entire saga. Following this, he uses this massive platform to announce something completely unheard of. Headset Media's new initiative. He's funding 100 first-generation streamers every single year. We're talking free equipment, mentorship, and 6 months of living expenses covered, with 0 binding contracts and 0 revenue share taken. He acknowledges aloud that his own massive success was a fragile exception, not the rule. By removing the revenue share and the binding contracts, he's actively dismantling the very machine he fought against, making sure the next generation doesn't have to rely on luck. The broadcast ends, he steps outside at 2 a.m., and across the street he hears a new kid at a fast food drive-thru doing voices to survive a terrible shift. Which leaves us with this crucial thought to take away from our explainer today. As the cycle inevitably begins again, what kind of internet are we really building? Will the algorithm just exploit the next generation, or will we actually empower them to own their voices?